Seedling, the man of endless struggle.
Many generations ago, when the drums of the ancestors still spoke through the night winds, there lived a man named Kofi. His home was at the very edge of a great African village where the plains kissed the forest and the wide rivers carried secrets to the sea. Kofi was poor, so poor that the children in the village used to joke, even the rats did not visit his hut, for there was nothing to steal. But though he had no cattle, no land, and no gold, he had something more precious, 6 daughters, each one a light in his dark days. Their names were Adisa, Ama, Efua, Nia, Akua, and Zuri. Their mother had passed when Zuri was still a baby, and from that day Kofi bore the heavy weight of being both father and mother.
Hunt a sheaf of rice, the burden of fatherhood.
Every dawn, when the first rooster crowed, Kofi rose. He tied a rope around his waist to hold up his torn trousers and set out with an axe across his shoulder. He would cut wood until his hands blistered, then carry it in bundles so heavy that his back bent like an old tree. By noon, he fetched water for wealthy families who looked at him with pity but never with respect. At sunset, he repaired fences, carried loads, or swept the compounds of chiefs in exchange for coins or scraps of food. Despite his sweat, hunger often slept in his hut. There were nights when the daughters drank only water before curling together like chicks to sleep. Yet never once did they curse their father. They saw the lines on his face, the wounds on his hands, and they knew his love was their shield.
Bumps, herb voices of the village. The villagers mocked him.
One man said, "Kofi, you are cursed. 6 daughters and not a single son to help you." A woman sneered, "Your daughters will drain you dry, old man. Why not send them to serve in other homes?"
But Kofi only smiled through his pain.
"Children are not burdens," he said quietly. "They are seeds. One day the tree that grows from them will give shade to even those who mock me." The people laughed at his words, but Kofi held his hope close, like a hidden flame.
Punsin, glowing star at the blossoming of the daughters.
Time passed. The daughters grew tall and graceful, each one learning from her father's struggles. Adisa, the eldest, watched him weave ropes from grass and began weaving baskets so strong they could carry stones without breaking. Alma, the second, noticed how people threw away torn clothes. She borrowed needles and began sewing with such skill that the poorest garments became new again. Efua, the third, found joy in cooking. With nothing more than wild herbs and a pinch of salt, she could turn plain porridge into a meal that filled the belly and warmed the heart. Nia, the fourth, loved to sit by her father's fire as he told old stories. She repeated them to children, adding songs and chants until her voice became the music of the village. Akua, the fifth, followed old women into the forest, learning the secrets of plants. Soon she knew which roots cured fever, which leaves stopped bleeding, and which bark gave courage to the weak. Zuri, the youngest, was her father's shadow. When he returned exhausted, she sang to him. When he faltered, she whispered, "Do not give up, Papa. Better days will come." The 6 daughters worked together, turning hardship into skill and skill into hope.
Elephant, the day of the merchant.
One season, when the rains had ended and the earth was rich with life, a great merchant caravan entered the village. Their camels and donkeys carried silks, spices, ivory, and gold. The people rushed to see the wonders of distant lands. The merchant, a man named Jabari, strolled through the village market. He saw Adissa's baskets and marveled. "Even in the great cities beyond the desert, I have not seen such strength in weaving," he said. He saw Alma's stitching and gasped. "These clothes look as fine as royal robes." He tasted a few stew and closed his eyes. This food could warm the belly of a king. He listened to Nia's storytelling and forgot the passing of hours. He watched Akua heal a sick child with herbs and bowed in respect. And when Zuri sang her small but mighty song, Jabari's heart softened like butter in the sun.
"Who raised such wonders?" he asked.
The villagers pointed. "That poor man Kofi and his 6 daughters." Jabari was astonished. That evening he went to Kofi's humble hut and said, "Oh man, your daughters are riches greater than gold. If you allow, I will trade their works across kingdoms. The world must see their gifts."
Then, money bag from poverty to prosperity. Kofi agreed, but with one condition.
Sell their crafts, but never their freedom. Trade their skills, but never their dignity. Jabari honored his word. Soon, Adis's baskets were carried by traders across the deserts. Alma's stitching reached queens and chiefs. Ifwa's recipes flavored royal kitchens. Nia's stories were sung by griotas in great palaces. Akua's herbs healed warriors and travelers. And Zeri's songs spread joy from village to village. Well poured into Kofi's home. The hut became a compound, the bare ground became fields, and hunger was chased away. His daughters walked proudly, dressed in bright colors, yet they never forgot their father's struggles. They remained humble, always sharing their fortune with the poor.
Crescent moon, the old man's wisdom.
Years later, when Kofi had grown old and his hair turned silver like moonlight, he sat beneath the great baobab tree. His daughters, now strong women, surrounded him with laughter. The villagers who once mocked him now brought him gifts and asked for advice.
One man said, Kofi, tell us, how did a poor man become the richest in the land? Kofi closed his eyes and smiled.
I was never poor, he said. I was rich the day I held my daughters. Gold and silver are treasures that thieves can steal, but love, patience, and family, these are treasures that even death cannot take.
And then, Sparkle's moral of the story.
True wealth does not lie in cattle, land, or gold. It lies in family, unity, and the strength to endure hardship with hope. A poor man who loves and perseveres is richer than the king who rules without love.